Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to give you my thoughts on Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Now, Jason Lives is an old favorite of mine. It's still probably one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies. Probably within like 1, 2, or 3, somewhere in there, depending if you count Freddy versus Jason or not, which we'll get to at some point. Um, but Jason Lives is an old favorite. It's one I used to go back to quite a bit. And it was a lot of fun revisiting this one yet again, with my kick I've been on of finally tackling some more Friday the 13th specific films. And of course, the scene, the return of Jason Voorhees after the whole copycat mess in Part 5. I realized I didn't do a video on Part 5. I honestly just did not feel like watching it this time. The cast isn't bad in that one, but the copycat thing is what it is, and aside from the visions of Jason, the MPAA just butchered that movie. That and Part 7, I think, are the worst victims of edits in the franchise. And the franchise always dealt with crap like that. So I just didn't feel like rewatching Part 5 again, forgive me, and going right back to rewatching Part 6. The resurrection scene, the Frankenstein-style resurrection scene, is one of my favorite scenes in the whole series. I think the makeup on Jason is very cool. Just the rain and everything. It's again a very palpable, atmosphere in the franchise. The atmosphere in this movie though is a little different than say Part 4, which I recently talked about. This one has some of that, vibe, but it's kind of more. It's kind of more wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's a little bit more kind of stylized per se. It's a bit more on the nose, in an intentional sort of way. This is where the franchise sort of introduced kind of more humor, more kind of self-awareness to itself. And I think for Jason Lives, it really worked. It's still a prime example, I think, of having those elements and still telling like a pretty good Jason story. You have Tom Matthews playing an older Tommy Jarvis, who doesn't really look a lot like Corey Feldman, but I do prefer him to the actor we had in Part 5. You also have Jennifer Cook here as Megan, and Megan, I think, and Jennifer Cook as Megan is one of the more underrated and overlooked, sort of final girls or female characters in the franchise. Honestly, she might be my favorite, woman in the Friday the 13th series, at least in terms of the solo films and everything. I just think she had a real natural way about her with the personality she was playing off of. And her chemistry with Tom Matthews was surprisingly solid. It's a shame she didn't really act more, too much more anyway. But I liked her quite a bit. You have David Kagan as the sheriff, Megan's father, who's sort of doubting what Tommy's saying about Jason. You even have a young Tony Goldwyn in this, who's been like Scandal, Dexter, all I wish with Sharon Stone. It was fun, seeing him in such a little but kind of fun part in the film, with him and his girlfriend on the way to be counselors as well, and they're cut off on the road by Jason. It's a pretty fun scene. But yeah, I still really like Jason Lives a lot. You have Alice Cooper playing in the background a few times. It's just a good time, man. C.J. Graham, I think, is one of the better Jasons in the franchise. I think at least in the top 5. He is one I managed to meet as well. He seemed to be a nice guy. Some people don't like the gloves and the utility belt in this movie, but he gets the gloves off of Tommy and his friend. I'm not sure about the belt though. And then you have like the paintball group, which is pretty funny, although I think it's probably the most out of place scene in the movie. It's maybe a bit too far, but still a fun little set of scenes, I think. Harmless, really. And then sort of the kids and Jason sort of interacting with them, with the girl having nightmares and seeing Jason out the window, Jason carrying a headless body. And then he sort of corners her, looks down at her, leaves her alone. Same with the other kids. You have the folded kill with the sheriff and everything. The initial kill with the resurrection scene of him punching a hole through Tommy's friend with a heart. That's one of my favorite kills in the series as well. I think for this film the ending is fine. With being chained to the bottom of the lake and everything, and the motor and such. The blades anyway. Sort of keeping him down there even though he's very much alive. Alive. This sort of ending can get repetitive in part 7, though, but we can talk about that at another point. And again, Jason himself being undead, zombie Jason from here on out, it changed a lot for the series. And, I do enjoy undead Jason, he has plenty of highlights as well as, good actors playing like C.J. Graham and Kane Hodder and Ken Kirzinger. And I enjoy it. I enjoy both sort of eras of Jason in terms of alive and undead. But yeah, I think there's a lot to love about Jason Lives. I think it's one of the more accessible, sort of easy to enjoy films in the franchise for people that maybe aren't as into it. I think there's kind of more elements to it, kind of just make it more of like a crowd pleaser, I suppose. If I had to rate it, I'm giving it like a B plus, A minus, somewhere in there. It's always within my like top 5 favorites of the franchise. I really do still like it quite a bit. Definitely love elements of it. So let me know what you guys think about it. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, of course, and peace.